Welcome to the extended August edition of the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report. We begin with a look at how the signing of Senate Bill 68 into law will affect Missouri school districts. The legislation, which takes effect on August 28th, marks a major milestone in Missouri's commitment to school safety. CES's Chief Operating Officer John McDonald says that while meeting the requirements of this law may take some work, CES is here to help every step of the way.
We at CES had the opportunity to collaborate on what became Senate Bill 68, and we're incredibly grateful for that opportunity. Our voice was heard. We appreciate that. The voice of school safety professionals across the state was heard, and we had the opportunity and the ability to be a part of that bill. And frankly, we're pretty excited about where it's going, but we know there's going to be a ton of work ahead for us at the Center for Education Safety, including all of the training that now has to be done. You know, there was a misconception out there that this bill would cost school districts a lot of money. It does not. It takes some time. It'll take some effort, but the effort is worth it, and the time is well spent. There are several components. In fact, there's 15 parts of this bill. Not all of them had to do with school safety.
Many districts have already contacted CES asking about what they should purchase to meet the new requirements. John has some simple advice.
What I'm sharing with everybody here is don't buy a thing. You're getting a lot of calls from vendors right now who are telling you that you need to buy their product to be in compliance with Senate Bill 68, and it's just not true. Most of Senate Bill 68 has very little cost to school districts. The cost is in the effort. The cost is in the time to get your team ready to go to be more prepared. It is not a huge monetary cost. And those monetary costs that are in the bill don't come online for a couple of years. So at the Center for Education Safety, we will be doubling the number of school safety academies that we hold this coming year. We're pretty excited about that. One, it builds capacity to bring in the school safety coordinators from all of districts and LEAs around the state. And we have the capacity to train new people in the school safety profession. And Senate Bill 68 requires that every district now have two trained school safety coordinators. And that purpose really is that there's so much movement throughout the districts and people come and go so constantly that we're losing our institutional knowledge about the school safety issues in our districts. And when somebody leaves and you have no backup, you have nobody to take that space, and they have to wait months in order to get into an academy. That really is difficult on our schools and leaves schools exposed in a way that we don't want them to be, and frankly, they don't need to be. So now the second school safety coordinator requirement, it's sending someone to free training for 3 days, and we will onboard them, help them get set up in their district, provide guidance and resource, and we do it at no cost to our districts. So that's one component. The bill also establishes incident command training, and schools can do that either free through FEMA online courses, or they can come to one of our training sessions, and we will train schools on working with their first responders and the world of incident command, whether it's through a tornado that occurs in their community, or a threat of a flood, of wildfire, or potentially an active shooter environment. The incident command training that we'll provide is really based on all hazards, and that's free too. So no cost training is something that we are really committed to this year, and that'll be a focus for us. There's a couple of other components of the bill. One is that it codifies in law the importance of school districts having emergency operation plans. Every school in 2025 should have an emergency operation plan. Every school should be prepared and be responsive and understand that, the threat of our time is is really different than it used to be. The threat of our time is everything from the school violent incident that we're concerned about to, the activity where we saw in the state of Missouri in June where 44 schools were impacted by tornadoes. Uh, we don't know where that threat's going to come from, but we know that schools will be impacted, and the ability to have a good, solid emergency operation plan to work through that crisis, to get back to the business of learning on the other side as quickly as possible, is really where schools can get a significant win. And we have tools for that, and we're excited to share those tools and connect people with resources that'll help in their communities. So those are a couple of the big issues. Now, there's a couple other things that are occurring, and one that I push for, and I've been a proponent of for many years, and I've talked to other states about this. When a school district does a threat assessment on a student that's engaging in attack behavior, a student that is homicidal, maybe a student that is suicidal and at risk to themselves, it is really important if that student transfers to another school or another district that that threat assessment, that risk assessment transfers with that student along with the educational record. Because the new school that receives that student needs to understand the wraparound services that that student needs to understand the safety plan that may be required, and needs to understand how to protect others in that school environment. And today, there's been no requirement that says threat assessments need to follow, and not all schools will send a threat assessment on to the next district or the next school. We consider that intel, that intelligence, that information is absolutely essential for us to make good decisions on how to protect our schools, our kids, our staff, our community. And it's also essential because if we don't have that, we don't know what that student needs to become successful in a new environment. So today, schools need to start preparing. If they've done a threat assessment, a risk assessment on a student within 12 months, that they will then have to forward that on if that student transfers to another district or another school. That does not cost a dime. That is a simple transfer of information and allow schools to share that information. In the state of Missouri, it has been practice and law that if a student is arrested for a felony outside of school, that the juvenile justice system has 5 days to notify the school of the arrest. That is now changed. And that is also something else that we really pushed for. Now it requires that notification occur within 24 hours. What's happening in the juvenile justice system is a student may engage in a felony type of crime, including crime of violence, and they get arrested, and the school never knows about it. The student's back in school, having just been arrested for a violent crime, and it's 5 days or later before anybody gets notified. That just doesn't work. We can't make good decisions in our schools for the safety of all other students and for the safety of the student that may be responsible for committing a crime if we don't know. So again, that doesn't cost a dime. What it requires, though, is that we're sharing information on a faster basis, that we're sharing critical information that allows us to keep our schools safe. So I'm happy about that phase of the program as well. Now, there have been a lot of conversations about locks and window safety film, and I am a proponent of both. They're called intruder locks in the industry. Really, it's just a lock that you can engage from inside the classroom. So many of our schools around the country and in Missouri, you have to step out in the hallway, find a way to put a key in a lock and lock that door under stress, and that's really difficult to do. Today, Senate Bill 68 says, in the future, I think it's actually 2029, if you're going to build a brand new school, you need to build in the cost of interior locking doors. You need to build in the cost of window safety film that's ballistic, that helps keep an intruder outside and doesn't allow them easy access through your front doors. That cost can be built into the construction costs of a new building very easily. And if you're doing a major renovation, you'll also have to, at that time, put the intruder locks on or the window safety film. But there's no requirement that existing schools do that. Uh, there's no requirement that we change all of our locks out today or even tomorrow unless there's state funding for it. And if there's state funding, then of course it would be required at that point. So intruder locks and window safety film, while it's a best practice, it's not required until you either build your new school or undergo a renovation at your existing school. And at that point, that can be built into the cost of a bond very easily, and it should. So those are some of the components of Senate Bill 68. There's also a requirement for CPR training, um, Stop the Bleed training. Stop the Bleed training is free online. It doesn't cost anything. Uh, there's a group out there right now through the American Heart Association that has a funding stream for AEDs, and they're giving AEDs to schools across the state. I don't know that every school is going to get one, but I believe it's all Title I schools are getting AEDs. So there's opportunity out there through grants. There's opportunity out there through free training, and there's opportunity out there through community resources. If you want to know, how to train everybody on Stop the Bleed, your local paramedics are fantastic at that. Your school nurses can become train the trainers very easily and no cost. And then they can come in and train the rest of your district. So throughout Senate Bill 68, we tried to find ways to enhance foundational aspects of school safety that don't cost a lot of money, because we know schools simply don't have a lot of money. And we're always competing for the same dollar. So we've got, the educational dollar and the school safety dollar. Well, it's the same dollar. What's the return on investment? How can we add value to the educational side without taking away those critical funds? And I think we've, through this bill, found ways to do that. And we're just really excited about the opportunities that are presented through this model legislation. I think other states will be adopting this type of legislation in the future, and it's certainly being highlighted around the country when I speak at conferences. So we're excited to see where we go from here. Center for Education Safety is going to be running. We have added another trainer, and we will potentially be adding 2 more part-time trainers to make sure that we have the capacity to be out there in all of our communities across the state, to make sure that your school has the ability and the opportunity to be well trained and do so at low to no cost.
In addition to doubling the number of school safety academies to meet demand, the CES team will be delivering new updates and key training in new ways as well.
We are launching a webinar series, Lunch and Learns. We'll get into specifics about a certain aspect of the bill that's critical for schools to know. It's not just school safety people that should be listening or watching us. Our administrators, even our boards, our superintendents. I understand your time is limited, your time is valuable, but this is a big bill. And, I come from a place where I've learned over the course of my career that at the end of the day, in the aftermath of crisis and tragedy, you'll either have to justify what you've done or you'll have to justify what you didn't do. It's always better to justify what you did. So this bill allows us to create a foundational aspect of school safety that follows a reasonable standard of care. And that's good for all of Missouri. And I appreciate everybody that's supported this bill. and for all that you're about to do to protect kids.
To learn more about Senate Bill 68 and upcoming safety trainings, visit the MSBA website and watch the weekly for updates. Also, make sure that your safety teams receive the Safety Weekly emails from the CES team. CES is also proud to co-sponsor MSBA's AI in Education Symposium Wednesday, October 22nd, in conjunction with the MSBA Annual Conference in Kansas City. MSBA's Director of Digital Initiatives, Mark Henderson, says that the event has something for everyone, regardless of your AI expertise or experience level.
AI is transforming education right now. Are you prepared to lead the changes in your district? At this one-day event, we'll explore how AI supports learning and how school leaders like you can lead with confidence. We'll kick off with Kim Carr, co-founder and executive director of Digital for Good and I Can Help, a nationally recognized leader in digital wellness and online safety education. Then you'll experience expert sessions led by practicing educators, technology professionals, legal experts, and student voices covering AI implementation in classrooms, cybersecurity, policy development, career readiness, and more.
Registration is open now for the AI in Education Symposium, as well as the MSBA Annual Conference in cooperation with the Missouri Association of School Administrators and the Missouri Association of School Business Officials. The conference will be held on October 23rd through the 25th in Kansas City. The event will once again feature numerous breakout sessions and workshops, many presented by school leaders from districts throughout the state, the Education Expo, and another great lineup of general session speakers. And it's not too late to register for MSBA's fall regional meetings this September. The topic is Phones and Funds, tackling today's tough school policy and finance issues. Held across all 17 regions, these meetings provide a great opportunity to connect with fellow school leaders, receive important updates, and participate in regional discussions that impact your local district. Visit the MSBA website to register for your region's meeting. That's it for this month. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in September for the next MSBA Board Report.